All right, something new and different. So I have been asked to do a custom build for a Babylon 5 Starfury kit. So those who are Babylon 5 fans, it'll be a build of the kit, but it's going to be a custom ride for somebody that is a friend of mine. So if you're looking for something that is accurate to the B5 universe, expect to be disappointed. Let's take a look at what we got inside. There are probably a billion looks inside this kit, so I'm just going to make this one a cursory glance at the parts, and we are going to rip into doing this build. This has been, as you can see, unopened. The transfers are in decent shape. We won't use them. I'm going to actually save them for another build. And then we have the very simple, straightforward kit. It's a pretty simple build, but what I want to do is customize it for this friend of mine. So I will go ahead and set this aside for a second. We will start by putting the box, etc., off to the side. Take another quick look at the transfers. The page is yellow, but the transfers look like they haven't. So those should look pretty nice. Eventually, when I get round to it, I do want to do that one. You know, who doesn't? But I'm one that does. So at some point I may do that. But for now, quick look at the instruction book. It's a pretty big instruction book for such a simple build, and this is why. Big pictures. This. Now, the thing about this is the fit on these, as I understand, is pretty terrible. So essentially these need to be pre-prepped, pre-painted, and then plan to use lots of putty. So as you can see, each page is pretty much just putting on only a few parts, and then once you have those parts on, you go ahead and finish putting in this one here. So your detail, right? If there's real detail, it's going to go in here. But you know, the way the show was, you do have a transfer in here that goes on the inside of the cockpit, and what that does is it shows the instrument panel, and that's this guy 34. It's this guy right here. Right, so that's the instrument panel readout. And then you have this one, number 39, which is where? There. That goes on the front. I think you also had transfers on the inside of the... I thought you had transfers up in here. Well, it looks like I'm not seeing it. Right. Oh, this is, yeah, that's the face. So that's the one for the right here. But yeah, that is your instruction book. It's pretty straightforward. Let's take a quick look at the parts. And this is one that is as yet unopened. So it's been sitting in my stash for, oh goodness, I don't know how long. But set this to the side. This is actually one of the earlier runs, I think. You do have, again, raised panel lines, so you're going to have to deal with that when you're doing the weathering. And if like I said, if I recall correctly, the real issue is when this meets up with this, you've got some pretty nasty seams. So those need to be done. There's your rear, other thrusters, and then your fins. And that's your cockpit. Your instrument panel, and where is my pilot? There's my pilot. So All right, that's pretty much it. I mean, really, it's typical sci-fi, a typical sci-fi model from Revell. Was it Revell? Yeah, typical Revell model kit from, goodness, the late 80s, early 90s. So let's go ahead and get crack into this guy. So yeah, this was made in 1997. So the model itself is, as I'm sure you're aware, old. And again, it's Revell. So what do we see with Revell? We see fit, or fit issues. You can tell right here, needed to use quite a bit of clamps just to get the things to fit in place. And then when they did, we have huge gaps. Now this is typical sci-fi kind of model stuff. Big, huge parts, big, huge gaps. So crack out the putty. It's not like this is hard. It's just you have to expect it, right? And then what is the level of precision and detail do you want? With this, fill in these seams really wasn't that difficult. Go back, hit them up, and I do go back, and you can see in that lower one there's still some seamage, so I end up going back and refilling that again. Then when I went to lay the next wing over top of that, I needed to clamp that down too. That was also, again, fit issues are, but once you get that, I get it to this point, and here's where you have to start doing, painting in stages. Get your gaps filled, then go ahead and do the painting. Gaps filled, do the painting. And like I said, it's as you get the final big pieces put together, it's clamp, paint, fill, clamp, paint, fill. You can see that it really took quite a bit to get this to shape up, but it's sort of the nature of the beast. But it did. It went together with patience, and just go in one step at a time. Now the other thing I did is I did take a picture of this particular individual in his best outfit, or his most common outfit, and duplicated the pilot so it would match. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. It'll work for government work. And when that was done, get him settled in so we can get the cockpit overall set up and ready for painting. To do that, need to mask off the canopy, which is basically straightforward. Just take painter's tape, press in at the corners with glue, with a cocktail stick, and then trim it down. Pretty straightforward. Also, the guns. So the guns had this giant gap that was going to be visible as all daylight when you get those glued in. So I did end up putting some card, seal those up so that looked better. Once that was done, here we go. It was time to get the base paint. So it needed a white stripe on the one wing, and also need a white stripe down the center of the top for the transfers, doing custom transfers. And then it just gave it the base colors. When we get that in, get the base colors down, then was put down the custom transfers. I did have these transfers custom printed. Well, I printed them myself using the decal transfer sheet, and I wasn't too happy, but it's what I had, so it worked. It just took a ton of mark fit. Once those are all done, go ahead and seal it down with a coat of clear, and then put on the metallic, and then start the weathering. Right, so with the weathering, again, I kept it kind of simple. I did do a decent amount of burn shading and coloration on the thrusters, and light weathering, light streaking on the overall build to sort of not make it filthy, but there we go. In the end, this was it. And these are the final pictures of what I ended up doing. Again, this is not B5 universe specific, but it was a custom build for a friend of mine, and I was doing my best to try and get him what he was looking for. It was a fun little build. This kit's been sitting in my stash for quite a long time. I'm glad it was able to be put to decent use. So yeah, a lot of things that could be done on this, but this was sort of a quick build specifically for this subject, and it was a fun little palette cleanser after some challenging one. So I hope this was entertaining and useful, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, happy modeling.